Got an unboxing for you today. I'm going to open this up with the Spyderco Caribbean Salt. I've been EDCing this knife for a little bit now, and I will eventually post a review once I've had enough experience with it to really give it a fair evaluation. But let's go ahead and see what we got in this package today from Blade HQ. Bunch of packing peanuts. And something from SOG, and it's a pretty large box. All right, SOG, SOG, you can call it either one. A lot of people say, no, it's got to be SOG. Well, since they made the SOGzilla, which you wouldn't call the SOGzilla, I think it's fair to call them SOG. All right, here we go. This is the Blade HQ exclusive version of the Seal XR in OD green. I think the OD green is what makes it the exclusive, because they have the Seal XR in black FRN, available elsewhere, but this green one is just from Blade HQ. Let me lower this tripod a little bit now that we're not trying to get the whole box in the frame. We can get a little bit closer perspective on this knife. All right, let's have a look here. It's got the XR lock. That is SOG's name for this crossbar style lock here. This is obviously, a lot of knife companies now are using this style of lock now that the patent on the Axis lock from Benchmade has expired. USA made, pretty big billboarding there. They're proud of the USA made designation, which, fair enough. And this is an CPM S35VN steel. That's Crucible's particle metallurgy steel. It is a good balance of toughness and hardness and stainlessness. We've got the stamped SOG logo on the clip, but in some earlier SOG models, the SOG lettering was actually cut out, which made it even more conspicuous. At least this is just black on black, whereas if this was cut out, then the color of your pant pocket, your blue jeans or khakis or whatever you had that you're wearing, would show through those letters and would make it really easy to read SOG from quite a distance. So you'd be advertising that you're carrying a knife, although it's not inconspicuous now. This is not a deep carry pocket clip at all. You're going to have this much of the knife with this strike pummel or whatever this is sticking out. Pommel, I guess, but pummel seems appropriate since you would be this is a weapon. This is for hitting. Yeah, so it's FRN instead of G10, and but it's pretty aggressively textured FRN. And we've got a flipper tab here that looks kind of like the hammer of a pistol. Got a little oil on there. Let's go ahead and open this up. Give it a flip. Okay, it flips good. This is not an assisted opener, right? Doesn't want to open again. Wonder if there's some sort of a, if I lock it somehow? Well, I'm confused. Yeah, it does not want to open. Unless it opens fine if I engage the XR lock. Huh. Guess it's just real stiff initially there on the flipper. Can I reverse flick it? Ugh, not easily. Yeah, it's going to take some breaking in, I think. Opening this with a thumb hole is pretty hard. Even opening it with a flipper tab takes a lot more pressure than I'm used to with these crossbar style flippers. There aren't that many, by the way, flippers that are crossbar. I mean, Benchmade, you know, opens usually with thumb studs. SOG makes flippers that have an XR lock, like this Terminus, right? But this is this assisted? No, it's not assisted. It took a while to break this thing in, actually, as I'm recalling. This may have also been a Blade HQ exclusive version in this green micarta. That I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that it was another exclusive. Now see, there's that cutout lettering, right? And this one I can reverse flick using the thumb studs, and the flipper works pretty good. It took a while to get broken in. I do recall that now. All right. The easiest way to open and to deploy this right now is by opening the lock and flicking it with the wrist. Now that is a big knife. I mean, look at it compared to the Terminus. Absolutely dwarfs the Terminus, which is, you know, a normal EDC sized knife. This thing is going to be massive in pocket, right? Whew, that's it. That's going to be a lot in the pocket. Let's do some size comparisons. So there it is next to the Terminus, and let's show you another SOG with another XR lock. This is the Aegis XR, Aegis AT, sorry, with a 3-inch blade. The Seal XR is closer to 4 inches. It's almost 4 inches blade length. Okay, let's do some more size comparisons. Probably the most obvious thing to compare this to, with that, you know, 4-inch clip point blade and just overbuilt general aesthetic, is the Recon 1 from Cold Steel. Yeah, pretty much the same overall length if we include the strike pommel. Really, actually pretty similar blade shape, right? The Recon 1 is a little thinner across the width of the handle there. A little hard to tell maybe in the camera angle, but it is a little thinner across here. The blade stock is thicker on the SOG. And these are both S35VN. So same steel, same blade shape, same overall length. Different locks, right? The lock on the Cold Steel is pretty indestructible. This lock should be fine. It does use omega springs, which can break, but they don't break because of stress on the lock. They just break over time and repeated use. And I have not experienced a breakage of an Omega spring. I have several Benchmades. I have Hogue knives that have Hogue's version of the crossbar lock, which they call the Able lock. And, I use them, but I have yet to break one, but I know they can break. Whereas uh, the the lock in the Cold Steel is pretty indestructible, but it's also, it operates like a back lock, even though it's a little more sophisticated than a back lock, uh, which is not going to be quite the same finger safe operation for one-handed opening that you would get with this XR lock. Right? You can't flick it open with a wrist flick like that. I mean, you can get it open with one hand, fine. So I think that's a pretty comparable lineup there. The Cold Steel Recon 1 versus the SOG Seal XR. The SOG costs quite a bit more at regular retail prices. It does have a lot more jimping and texture going on. The Recon 1 has G10 scales instead of FRN. This thing really, I could imagine this tearing up your hand if you were using it without gloves for really tough, heavy duty, extended cutting tasks. Probably be pretty good with gloves though. All right, what else can we compare it to for a size comparison? Well, let's look at another big clip point that a lot of people are familiar with, which is the Buck 110. Here's a Buck 110, which is a big knife, relatively dwarfed. Well, not quite dwarfed, but definitely smaller than the Seal XR. The full-size Benchmade Crooked River. Okay. It's a little bit, there's some perspective distortion here because the camera's on a little bit of an angle, but comparable. Definitely a taller blade and slightly longer on the Seal XR. Well, I don't know about slightly longer. Yeah, the Seal XR is a taller blade and has a taller grind, slightly taller grind. This is going to be a lot more comfortable in ungloved hands, this Benchmade. And it looks a lot less tactical, right? Obviously the aesthetic is different, but the shape of the blade is similar. Both clip points with, good amount of belly, sharpening choil. Okay, finger safe operation. Both of these have crossbar locks. Going to be comparable in several ways. The Benchmade is even more expensive than the SOG, but not by a lot. That SOG, their price tag on it, they want around $200 for that thing, which is a lot. It's a lot. It's, I have knives that are that expensive, but it takes a lot to justify a price tag like that. S35VN steel is good, but it's not, crazy premium steel. There are a lot of budget knives now that are being made with S35VN steel. FRN handle scales, reinforced nylon, that's generally more of a sort of a budget material. I mean, it's very strong, so it's appropriate. I mean, it's got full steel liners in there, so this is not, you don't have any of the like squishiness that you would have with like a Benchmade bug out or something like that. And it doesn't feel cheap at all, but it's not a premium material. Okay, let's do a couple more size comparisons, just for points of reference here. This is a full size Griptilian, right? Quite a bit smaller. How about a PM2? Quite a bit smaller, right? How about a full-on Spyderco military or police? or both. Here's the Spyderco Police. Okay, which has a slightly longer blade and slightly longer overall. And then here is the Spyderco Military in titanium variant, which is bigger. Yeah, that the military is just an enormous knife, but it's going to have a smaller carry profile, right? And this is going to be less in your pocket, a little bit less in your pocket. Maybe higher, just right at that one point. Yeah, barely. I mean, right, the height across here on the SOG is pretty close to being the same as the height across here on the military. And the police is going to be a lot more slender and lower profile. Yeah, especially if you're counting the flipper tab. If you count the flipper tab, yeah, the SOG is just bigger, just bigger in the pocket. Also heavier, kind of a pocket anchor. Well, I'm not doing a full review. I mean, obviously, I just got this thing, so I haven't put it through any paces yet. I can't tell you if, you know, what some of its strengths and weaknesses are. I can just tell you what it looks like and how it compares in just sort of aesthetic and size to some other models. Let's look at something that's also real grippy. Here's the Hogue EX04. This has got a lot of texturing in the G10 handles, kind of palm swell. Right? It's got similar thickness. It also has finger safe operation because it's a button lock. Similar size in terms of what it's going to feel like in your pocket. Similar overall length and overall blade length, but the edge on the Hogue, because it's got that recurve in it and sort of a little hawkbill at the end, is actually going to be more linear edge. This is an overlooked knife, I think, among people who are likely shopping for something like this. This might be an option to consider. Now, this does have better handle material, in my opinion. G10 is a more, I just prefer the texture of G10, especially when it's nicely contoured, than FRN. But this is 154 cm steel, which is not particle metallurgy steel. And, you know, it's a good steel, but CPMS 35 is probably going to outperform it, at least in edge retention. But yeah, you might also, if you're thinking about getting one of these SOG Seal XRs, an alternative to look at might be the Hogue EX04. And then obviously, of course, the less expensive Cold Steel Recon 1. All right, so there's some first impressions, size comparisons. I will eventually share some more about this knife when I have developed valid opinions about it. Okay.